how to stay motivated. So I have trouble staying motivated in certain areas, and in certain areas I have gotten a lot better staying motivated. So one thing that I know for sure, if you want to stay motivated, is you got to have a big enough why. And so if you don't have a big enough why, you will cave every single time something happens. And so for me, I now have a big enough why, one that is pulling me, motivating me, that's making me do things that I've never done before, one that it has me facing my fears. So you got to have a big enough why in order to get up and do things that you don't want to do every single day. And two, I think you got to have a very specific goal on what you're working towards. If you got a big enough why, then you know why you're doing it, but you got to have something very specific that you're working towards. And if you don't have anything specific that you're working towards, if it's vague, then you really don't know if you're making progress. You really don't know when you get there. But having a big enough why is super important. And then having a specific goal, you got to have a specific goal. And then you got to really determine how bad do you want it, because sometimes we want it, but we don't really want it. And so if you want it bad enough, you will do whatever it takes. And I think too, you got to be thinking about people around you are depending on you to do what you said you were going to do, to get the results that you said you were going to do. And then more importantly, for your own self-confidence, you got to do what you said you were going to do, what you promised yourself you were going to do for yourself. And if you don't, you're going to see your confidence decrease, because you make these commitments to yourself and then you don't do anything. You make these commitments to yourself and then you don't do anything. You make these commitments, then you're tired. You make these commitments, then you're in pain. You don't do it. But you have got to make a commitment to do it. And so I think too, the biggest thing that I have learned about motivation is you just got to want to do it, and you got to just do it whether you feel like it or not. You got this time scheduled every single day that you say, okay, I'm going to work on my goal. I'm going to do this. So for me, I have weight loss as a goal for me now, where I'm laser focused on trying to lose the weight, or losing 1 pound a week. And so I don't want to say trying, because trying means that you're not really committed. And so I am committed, but you got to want it bad enough. And so until you got to make yourself do it, you got to say, okay, this time is dedicated to me working on this goal. And so you got to protect the time, and whatever happens, you got to make sure that you're doing what you said you were going to do during that time. You got your big goal broken down into smaller pieces. You got them broken into tasks, or whatever you call them. You got them broken down into smaller pieces, and then you just do it, those little pieces in the times that you have set. And so when you think about eating an elephant, you just eat it one piece at a time. You don't eat an elephant all at once. You just got to break it into smaller pieces. And what I find is that if you are not motivated, the goal is probably too big, or the task are too big. So you're not able to do it because you're frustrated. You're overwhelmed with what you need to do. So you got to break it down into smaller pieces. And then you have this time dedicated to yourself. The most important thing you can do is invest in yourself. You cannot be good to anybody else. You cannot invest in anybody else. You cannot support or encourage or love or take care of anybody until you do these things for yourself. So motivation is really you're just making yourself do what you know you need to do. That's really all it is. And so sometimes you just got to do it whether you feel like it or not, whether you're motivated, whether you want to do it. You're doing it because you know in 1 year it's going to make a huge difference. In 5 years your life could be different if you just stay motivated, or not. Even if you're not motivated, you develop an attitude where I don't care how I feel, I'm going to work on my goal. I don't care what is happening, I'm going to work on my goal. I don't care what's happening. This is important enough for me to show up every single day for myself. And what I find interesting is that people will show up for somebody else, like an employer, every single day for 30 years or 40 years. But the minute they start working on something for themselves, in 2 weeks they give up. It doesn't even make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. If you're more committed to an employee than you are yourself, you got to start questioning, why am I more committed to my employee than I am to myself? This is my life. This is for me. Nobody's coming to save me. Nobody's going to be here for me. I got to take care of myself, whether that's body, mind, finances. You got to take care of yourself. You can't wait on the motivation. You just can't. You just got to say, okay, this is what I'm working on. This is my goal. I got to show up every single day so I can accomplish my goal. And then there's going to be times where, or maybe all the time, nobody's going to be there cheering you on. Nobody's going to be there encouraging you. Nobody cares about your results. Nobody cares what you're doing. You got to be focused on yourself, because this is your future. This is your life. And you just got to be motivated. So if you don't feel the motivation, you got to say, okay, whether I feel like it or not, this is what I promised that I was going to do. I said I was going to show up at 5 o'clock. This is my journey. I might not feel like it. I might be in pain. I might be sleepy. I might be tired. I might be irritable. I might have company. I might have stuff going on. I might, have schoolwork. I might have other things that I'm committed to doing, But this is important too. And so you got to have this time protected that you said you were going to work on your goal. And you just got to, whether you feel like it or not, you just got to do it. And don't be so caught up in looking for motivation. Like you expect yourself to want to do it. Because I don't want to do the things that I need to do. I don't want to record videos. I don't want to go to the gym. I don't want to work on a book. I don't want to do any of these things. I would rather just watch TV. I would. I'd rather just watch TV and eat cookies. But that doesn't even make any sense. I mean, what I think about is, at some point, I'm going to run out of time. At some point, I'm not going to be able to do the things that I'm very capable of doing right now. At some point, the time is going to be gone. It's going to be, my time is going to be up. And I don't want to live my life where I didn't accomplish my goals. I don't want to live my life where I'm not working towards something. I don't want to live my life like that. This is a commitment that I made to myself. So if you made a commitment to yourself, you got to show up. Don't look for the motivation. Don't think that you're going to feel like doing it, because most days you won't feel like doing it. You will program yourself to say, okay, this is my commitment to me. This is my gift to myself, that I show up for myself, that I do the things that I know I need to do, whether I feel like it or not. And how much sense does it make for me to show up and watch TV so that those people can have their dreams, me pay for their dreams by my time, because that's what I'm paying my time, this time that I can't get back. I'm helping them support their dreams, but I'm not working on mine. That doesn't make any sense. No. So just remember, most of the time you're not going to be motivated. Most of the time you're not going to want to do it. Most of the time you just got to decide. You just got to make a decision. You got to be committed. You got to say, okay, this is what I'm doing by any means necessary. I'm going to be successful, or I'm going to be successful. There is no other option. And then every single day, regardless of what's happening, you just show up and do what you need to do. And maybe you'll be motivated, maybe you won't, but if you make a commitment, you just show up and do it anyway. So you just got to decide. You got to have the time set aside. You got to do it, try to have all your stuff together, ready to work, so that you can reduce the resistance. You have less time to make excuses, and then you just show up at the time. You have an alarm set on your phone where you just show up and say, okay, this is my time. Nothing else can have this time. And I put my phone on do not disturb, where I don't get any calls. I just show up and do what I'm supposed to do. And some days you will not do it, right? Because we're human. We can't be perfect. Some days you just won't do it. But there should be a lot more days where you're doing it than you're not doing it. And then if you don't do it, just say, okay, I didn't do it today, but tomorrow I got to get back at it and start working on my goal again. Because if you don't, the more days that we go, we don't work on our goal, the more days we will let go and we won't work on our goals. It just becomes easy. I see it with myself going to the gym. I can miss one day from the gym and I feel guilty, right? And then the next day, I'm like, oh, I forgot to go to the gym. By day 3, it's just like, I don't care. Or you don't even think about it. Your goals, if they're not in front of you every single day, you lose focus. You start thinking about something else. You have this shiny object syndrome. You start looking at something else. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. Or you just sleep in. So you got to be committed. You got to say, okay, regardless of if I feel like it or not, this is what I committed to myself. Not what you committed to somebody else. Don't make what you committed to somebody else more important than what you commit to yourself. You're the most important person to you. Don't forget that. You're the most important person to you. Nobody can make you more important than you can make yourself. So just do it, whether you feel like it or not, whether you're motivated to do it or not. Just do it, no matter what. You just make the commitment, and then you just show up and do it every single day. And if you fall off, that's fine. Just get back on there and start back working on your goal again. And so motivation, I think, is more elusive. We expect to have this funny, fuzzy feeling that we're gonna want to do something towards our goal. We're gonna want to do the things that we need to do, write the pages for the book, that we're gonna want to, go to the gym and work out. We just not. We are trained to do things that are easy. We're trained to go and let somebody else tell us what to do, when to do it, just like going to a 9 to 5. We're trained for somebody else to tell us, be here at 9, go to lunch at 12, come back at 1, leave at 5. That's what we're trained to do. But when it comes to our life, we don't have anybody telling us what to do. We don't have anybody giving us direction. That's why we're overweight. That's why we're overweight society, because nobody tells us what to eat, what not to eat. We just do whatever we want to. We don't try to study nutrition. We don't try to, research the foods that we should eat. If we do, we just don't do it. But most of the time, if you know it, you just don't do it, or you do something that's easy. But when you're working for somebody else, they tell you what to do, when to do it, how to do it, and if you don't do it, they fire you. But in your own life, you got to be looking at it like, I'm my own CEO, I'm my own employer. So this is important for me. My life is going to change if I do the things that I know I need to do, like eating right, or working out, or working on this business, whatever it is. If you're doing it on the side, if you got a side hustle, or this is your life. You are the CEO of your life. If you have an employee, they tell you what to do. You got to say, okay, this is my life. I got to determine what I need to do for my life. Nobody else can tell you what to do for your own life, and don't let somebody else decide for you. Okay, if you work a job, okay, cool. I totally respect that. But if you still need to be deciding what's important for your life. You still need to be deciding what you need to do going forward. You still need to have a plan for your personal life, for your professional life. Don't leave that to change. Don't leave somebody else to make the decisions for your life, because you might not like what they decide for you. So motivation, it may be there, it may not be. If it's not, you still got to make a commitment. You still got to show up. You still got to do the work. No matter how you feel, no matter what's going on, you still got to show up and do the work.